the 365 Tao daily meditations. This one, the reading number 4, I thought was just so good. I hope you will agree, unlike it. So, the fourth reflection: moon above water, sit in solitude. If waters are placid, the moon will be mirrored perfectly. If we still ourselves, we can mirror the divine perfectly. But if we engage solely in the frenetic activities of our daily involvements, if we seek to impose our own schemes on the natural order, and if we allow ourselves to become absorbed in self-centered views, the surface of our waters becomes turbulent. Then we cannot be receptive to the Dharma or the Tao. There is no effort that we can make to still ourselves. True stillness comes naturally from moments of solitude where we allow our minds to settle. Just as water seeks its own level, the mind will gravitate toward the holy. Muddy water will become clear if allowed to stand undisturbed, and so too will the mind become clear if it is allowed to be still. Neither the water nor the moon make any effort to achieve a reflection. In the same way, meditation will be natural and immediate. I thought that was pretty powerful. And there's, if you don't have that, you might want to look at it. There's some pretty good stuff in there. I did want to talk about calm abiding because it's a very important concept in our practice. In fact, that's one of the main reasons why we do meditation or we practice meditation, is to achieve some sort of level of calmness, calm abiding, because when you're calm, your mind is open. Now, calm abiding is the foundation of almost all, if not all, of the types of meditation, whether it's Zen or Samatha, Vipassana, or transcendental meditation, or just mindful awareness of the present moment can bring calm abiding. Now, calm abiding relies on a correct referent, which is stillness. The mind rests one-pointedly, the breath. You keep the breath there, and that stills everything. It may include the breath, a picture, a candle, or a chant. Now, calm abiding is a quality of the mind, and as such, it cannot be acquired from some external source. If you want to experience calm abiding, you need to do what is required. No one else can give it to you, and that includes the teacher you may be working with. The teacher may provide some direction, but the journey is your path to walk yourself. Now, we're raised in a society that says we should be productive, always doing something. We should set our objectives and then pursue those objectives with a singular purpose to achieve some aim. We should not waste time. Doing nothing is not looked upon positively. If you're not busy, something is missing. Do more of whatever it is you're doing. There is nothing wrong with achievement and success. I'm not saying that. In fact, it's necessary for some kinds of progress in society and in our personal lives. However, people get so busy with their lives that they forget to be there for their lives. Our society focuses on us, me, mine. And this can make for a me-first society or a me-first world or a me-first attitude. When you're living me-first, ethical considerations can be clouded by the perception that the ends justifies the means, or the means justifies the ends, whatever you want to go. Now, calm abiding is not just sitting idle. Calm abiding can bring a balance between the busyness of the life and the spiritual imperative of contemplative thinking and living. We're engaged in Buddhist meditation and from a Buddhist perspective, and contemplative thinking is a big part of that. If you can't sit for 20 minutes, then sit for 10. And if you can't sit for 10, sit for 5. If you can't sit for 5, sit for 1. Just sit. Just try to be quiet. Sometimes during the day, give yourself a signal that you're just going to, for 1 minute, sit or stand or just be quiet. Be in solitude. Now, if you can't sit for 1 minute, you really, really need meditation. So get a teacher and get to work. Now, the essence of the meditation is coming back to the breath, moment after moment, the here and the now, with the purpose and with the non-judgment of the open heart and the open mind, or bodhicitta. And when I say the essence of meditation is coming back to the breath, I teach meditation at a couple of different places. And I always start the class out with, why are you here? And 4 out of 5 times, I bet, people say, oh, my mind is always racing. I have a monkey mind. Or I can't meditate because my mind is always racing. And my comment to that is, don't worry about the racing mind so much. Because when you have that racing mind and you realize that your mind is racing and you come back to the breath, you've meditated. You have reached the essence of the meditation. And the more you practice it, the more it will happen. How about looking at just this calmness with maybe a different perspective? Instead of doing all the time, how about just being some of the time? Just be. Don't have to do anything. I've always thought that I had to be up and doing something. In fact, I'm a restless person, so that's the way I live. But the more I do this meditation practice, the less I notice the restlessness. My wife may notice it more than I do because she points it out to me several times a day. If you want to be strong, spend some time alone each day in silence. Now, how do you establish calm abiding? Well, a lot of different ways. First of all, you do not try to force it. You can't force calm abiding. You just can't snap your fingers and be in a state of calm abiding when things are going around in your head. But calm abiding can be developed, and it can be developed with some consistency. One way, and what I was thinking about is, how do you focus on this? How do you get to that calm abiding? Well, one of the ways is to keep the 4 immeasurables always in your top of mind awareness. Prepare for a meditation by reading or studying for a short time before the actual sitting. That may be of benefit. Interpret the 4 immeasurables with familiar meanings that might make them more personable. Looking at loving kindness, maybe you want to use that instead of loving kindness. Just say friendliness. Use compassion to focus on kindness. Look at sympathetic joy as the connection between you and others. And bring impartiality or non-judgment to the meaning of equanimity. So we have kindness, friendliness, connection, and impartiality. Hold loosely to opinions, especially those opinions that bring judgment with them. And I'm a judgmental person. I try not to be, but I am. That's one of those things that, again, you can't snap your finger and have your judgments go away. It has to be something that is consistently worked on. And to me, and this is a judgment, but to me, the unhappiest people that I'm aware of or that I see are those with the strongest judgments about people or opinions or ideas. But that's a judgment on my part, and I have to be careful. Now, when judgment is present, and it will be, use it to examine and interpret your feelings toward the actions or towards the whatever is going on, and not at the individual. Again, very hard. I don't know where your political aspirations are, wherever that is, but there are some people in the political world that I have judgments about that I have to be careful of. They don't think like me. Have an open heart and an open mind. That's that bodhicitta. An open heart or mind might be able to accept or let go of opinions that are new or different than yours. Maybe. It's obvious that a closed mind, though, has no room for any additional information. It's closed. No information can get in. Even when the information is valuable and correct, you won't let it in if you're very judgmental, if you're very judgmental. You support calm abiding when you do something nice for somebody. You support it even more when you expect absolutely nothing in return for your generous act. Help others and allow yourself to be helped. We are social creatures. Allow the give and take of relationships to flow between you and others. Big thing is, give yourself a break. We tend to be harder on ourselves than we are on other people. When visited by thoughts of inadequacy, guilt, or shame, a mind of calm abiding will reflect kindness and acceptance towards self and consequently towards others. And if you're like me, there will be times when you make mistakes or act against the very thing that you're trying to develop. When that happens, you can look at the positive potential of that error or mistake. And what would be positive about an error or mistake? Well, the positive potential is, I did it, I made a mistake, I'm not going to do it again. Then try with all the earnestness at your command not to repeat the mistake or the error. Let it go. Don't do it anymore. Meditate early in the morning without a full day's clutter filling up your mind or your thinking. Or meditate just before you go to sleep with the idea of letting go of anything that was bothersome from that day. Or actually letting go of everything that happened in that day. It's over. It's going to be a new day. Use let it come, let it go as your mantra. Let it come, let it go. Just like your breath. Let it come, let it go. That's your mantra. Relate to your breath as the coming and going of those things that fill your day. Let your thinking focus on the positive rather than the negative. You hear that a lot, and I tend towards a little bit more probably of the negative. My background, my mother was a wonderful person, but negative. If it rained, it wasn't nice for the flowers. The basement was going to flood. Just that sort of, always had that tendency to look at the opposite of what was positive. My father, on the other hand, was very positive, and so I grew up seeing both, and that's all screwed up, I guess. I couldn't decide which one was right. So let your thinking focus on the positive rather than the negative. Now, a couple weeks back, 6-7 weeks back, I said there was a Stanford study that looked at thoughts. And there are about 60 to 70,000 thoughts every day that enter and leave our mind. And if you have that tendency towards the negative, like me and some dear friends and close relatives, 90% of your thoughts are repeated thoughts. And if they tend towards the negative, you're living in the negative a lot. You will live in a negative world. You'll live in a rigid and a little world. Open your heart, open your mind, and you open the world. Love unconditionally as a mother loves her child, her only child. When love requires conditions, it becomes something other than love. It can become duty or selfishness. And finally, embrace nature. Observe nature and observe yourself in nature, because you are nature. And you are in nature. The Buddha told us to go to the forest, find a tree, and sit in solitude by yourself. Be one with nature, because that's what and who we are. We have a nature, and we are nature. And return to yourself. I'd like to close. Now this I got off of Facebook, and some of you may have read this in the Facebook last week. This is a little comment by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it kind of fits in with what I was thinking. Write in your heart that every day is the best day in the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded with fret and anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely with with too high a spirit to be cumbered with old nonsense. The new day is too dear, with its hopes and invitations, to waste a moment on the yesterdays. That's all we have.